I was having a conversation yesterday with my friend who I'm here with about whether happiness is actually a choice. And he brought up something really interesting, which I've kind of been exploring for a while, to do with the relationship between goals and projects, right? Because I've always been very much goal-oriented throughout my life, certainly for the last 10 years or so. It would be that I would, always be quite focused on an outcome, working towards, a result in business, or working towards, some sort of achievement or whatever it would be. It was always very outcome-oriented. And he's got a different view. His view is much more based on, he's working on projects, and it's less important what he achieves as a result of that. And to him, it's more important in the actual doing of the thing that he wants to do, the project that he's working on. And if you've been watching my stuff recently, you'll know that this whole relationship between being and doing and having is, I think happiness is much more in line with being and doing, so being who you want to be and doing what you want to do, and having is really insignificant in terms of happiness. So for example, if you think of a time that you got a promotion or something that you were ecstatic about when you first got it. You were super happy, super excited, and then 2 years later, exactly that same job doesn't seem so exciting anymore. So what's actually changed? And what's changed is that the job's still exactly the same, still the same job. Once we loved it, once we thought it was amazing, but then 2 years later, we hate it and it's the worst thing ever and it's the thing we want to get out of that's keeping us trapped. The only thing that's changed is the way that we are choosing to see it. And so if that's the case, having what we physically have, having is nothing to do with, sorry, there's flies everywhere here. Having is nothing to do with whether we're happy or not, what we physically have, what's around us in the world that we're in. And it's entirely down to our perception, our perspective of what we have. That's all that counts. It's how we're choosing to see it, right? So if that's the case, and what we have is nothing to do with how we feel, that's down to our perception, then happiness is a choice. We can choose to see what we have and see the world around us in a way that we can be grateful for, we can appreciate, we can, remind ourselves how fortunate we are to live in the lives that we're living in. We can choose, we can make that choice to see things in that way. And so if that's the case, what I've been really starting to feel a lot more recently is that focusing on having goals for the sake of having things, it's completely meaningless. Doesn't matter whether you've got 10 grand, 100 grand, a million, 10 million, doesn't matter. And you might say, well, it's what you can do with that money. And yes, that's absolutely true. What you do is what counts. But in the same way, you can look at what you do through this lens of either, I can't be bothered, I don't want to do it, it's so frustrating, I hate that I have to do this. Or we can choose to look at what we do through the lens of, I'm so grateful that I get to do this. And each perspective is going to create a very different feeling as we're doing what we're doing each day. So happiness is a choice. And it's how we choose to perceive what we're doing that really counts. And so to tie this down, back to this whole goals versus projects thing, I've noticed that my view of looking at things in terms of goals, outcome-based goals, or having certain things, has meant that I'm running a dialogue whereby I'm tying my definition of success into my happiness, and it's been very short-lived. I would feel briefly happy and excited that I've achieved the goal that I've set, but that would last about 5 minutes before I'm working on the next thing. But for him, as long as he's working on projects that he enjoys and he's doing stuff that he loves, it doesn't really matter whether he succeeds or not. And he's launched several projects and several different businesses, and his view on failure, I feel that I've got a good view on failure. I view it as an essential part of the process that we need to go through, and I respect it and I appreciate it and I welcome it, I embrace it. But his view on failure even takes that a step further, where he has no attachment of failure into his own self-worth or anything whatsoever. He doesn't view it even as a failure. He's just working on a project and a project's changed direction. You know, for him, a project can be he works on a business and the business fails, but in actual fact, it's like, well, the project has either changed direction and he's now going to put his focus into working on a different project of the same kind of thread, or he realizes that project's not for him, and then he goes on to a completely different project. And everything about his lifestyle and the way he lives is all focused on doing the things that he's doing to work on the projects that he's working on. And he's very happy. I get the feeling that he just loves living life, you know. And I've travelled with him all across 2018, and I'm just more and more and more. The more that I get to know him, I'm just understanding. I think that his view, the way he sees things in terms of projects, it's genius. It's really powerful, and so I think there's a lot to learn from that. And so I'm going to be exploring this more myself personally, like in my own stuff, over the next couple of weeks, few months. And so I'll certainly be sharing more about this, but I'm going to stop putting so much emphasis on goals, and I'm certainly going to begin putting a lot more focus into projects, because projects are more in line with doing, and goals are more in line with having. And having doesn't equal happiness, but doing what you're doing every day and being grateful and appreciating what you're doing every day, that's what counts, and that's projects. So hopefully that perspective helps. I'm going to go and have my round of golf. I'm here on a bit of a golfing break. I don't know if you can see the course behind or not. It's just face tracking me, so no, you can't. But I hope you have a good day. Thanks for watching this video. If you have got something out of it, or if you have your own perspectives to share, I would love to hear from you. So hit like on this video and then pop a comment below. I would love to hear if you have some sort of insight into whether you already do this yourself, or maybe there's something different you do. And also on the screen now you should see the subscribe button. If you have enjoyed this, or you would like to learn more about this whole projects versus goals thing, as I do more videos around this, hit subscribe, and that's going to make sure that you get a notification whenever I do a new video. You might have to hit the little notification bell beside it as well. Thanks for watching, appreciate it, have an awesome day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.